Preparing Africa for the digital economy has, improved digital economy has become one of the biggest focuses of state and non-state actors across the continent. Charged with enabling the digital economy across their respective countries, policymakers are beginning to focus on improving digital literacy skills, digital fluency, creative thinking, problem solving, collaboration, empathy, adaptability, across the like. Now, but many African countries are yet to make meaningful action to address the yawning skills gap and digital infrastructure inadequacies bedevilling the continent. Here's the question. Can Africa truly enable a digital economy? Does the continent have the necessary digital infrastructure to unlock new pathways for rapid economic growth, innovation, job creation, and access to services? And how can we essentially bridge the growing digital divide? Well, joining us to answer these questions is Kendall Ananyi, who is the founder and CEO of internet company Tizeti. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. So according to, I think it's Sharfshack's Digital Quality of Life Report 2020, Nigeria has the least affordable internet in the world. Nigeria has more submarine cables than many countries. Why is internet still expensive in Africa's largest economy?
So a lot of money has got. So there are about 16 submarine cables around the continent. 20 billion spent on infrastructure, but still there's no. Still not affordable. Part of the problem is the submarine cables coming to the coast, and you still need additional infrastructure and service providers to take the internet from the coast, in Nigeria's case in Lagos, down to all the different 36 different states. So there's still a huge gap on the middle mile, which is basically fiber around the country and metro fiber within the states to actually connect the internet from the submarine cable coming from Europe around the world to the end user. So on the last mile side, which is where providers like Tizeti operate, it's not as there's been significant progress, but there's still a lot that can be done. So until you fix the middle mile, get more fiber infrastructure inland within the country, you will still have this problem of affordability. Then the second thing, which is more specific to Nigeria, is on the power supply part of things. You still have to run every single telecoms tower with a generator. You don't have stable grid that would actually lower the cost. Because if you're running with generators, think about the maintenance cost of generator, think about diesel, getting diesel to them every 2 or 3 days. That cost is significant. And the only way you can make any kind of profit is to actually, is from the cost of the internet itself.
Excellent stuff. What are you seeing across, West Africa? I think you have coverage across West Africa from an internet affordability and access point of view as far as these price points for internet are concerned. Well, how do we compare?
So they range around the same thing. I think the dollar amount to look at for broadband internet is about $30, and that's what it ranges. So in Ghana, we charge about 200 cedis a month. So Ghana is a little different. Ghana has better power, way better power. So you're not spending as much on the power side of things, but you also have to deal with higher taxes and fees. And you also have to deal with higher permitting costs to build the infrastructure out there too. So by the time you look at those things, it still averages your cost of delivering the internet still averages around the thing. But that's good in countries where they have the coast and there's a submarine cable landing. With countries that are more inland and more landlocked, situation is a lot more different because the cost of actually getting some fiber cable into those inland landlocked places is more expensive, making their cost really expensive. But at least there's advances in technology that is going to help with that. There's a lot of movement around delivering with satellite. If you look at what SpaceX is doing, that will really help those African countries that are not by the shore.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Maybe look at the Eastern African region. Rwanda, Kenya, they seem to be making considerable progress in preparing their youth for the digital economy and the future of work. Do you think other countries, on the continent, are working as they are towards bridging that digital gap?
Sure. Everybody has one sort of plan. In Nigeria, we have the Nigeria National Broadband Plan. If you look at even Ethiopia, which is the last country per se to have state-run telecoms, they are opening things up, inviting the private sector to come and invest in telecoms infrastructure. So that shows you that everybody's trying to make progress in their own parts of Africa, one way or the other.
All right. So how do you think? I think you mentioned that technology can help in this regard, but how can I want to ask you about, developmental changes. How can tech advance Africa as far as developmental changes are concerned?
So one layer is the internet service, right? Which the more you have access to internet, the better for you. But tech, the services that run over the internet, that's where tech shines really. And African tech has really come of age over the last 5 years. I think the inflection point was when Mark Zuckerberg came to visit, and basically all of tech took off. So as long as we're having a lot of developers working on different applications and services that you can provide over the internet. You're seeing a lot of folks working on financial inclusion. You're seeing folks working on e-learning too. Think about the impact COVID would have had if we didn't have some kind of distance learning. We basically, within the first few months, were able to adapt to that. E-commerce too. E-commerce has been in the continent for longer than even the 5 years too. And then telemedicine is now another aspect that is taking off too. So when you look at all of these things, financial inclusion, e-commerce, e-learning, telemedicine, you can tell that that aspect of tech helping out the common man in their everyday life is already starting to bear fruits. And then obviously the developer pool in Africa and Nigeria specifically has grown significantly over time. And there's more, even looking to a situation where we're exporting developers to other countries too.
Great stuff. So, tech's played a major role in the emergence of, startups like yourself and attraction of FDI to Africa. Can you drill down on that as far as insights, and can we see that growing further as the years go by?
Oh, the numbers each year, each month there's another fundraise that shows the significant interest in Africa. And if you look at how things went from the developed country to how the development you're seeing in India. India is like where Nigeria will be in a couple of years in the startup industry. Look at Latin America. You can already tell that Africa, there's a lot of interest. The interest has even skyrocketed now that we started showing that their exit with Paystack's $200 million exit. There's been a flurry of investments looking for the next Paystack. And so as long as startups keeps executing and the government provides policies that help FDI, so things that they can do, which the Nigerian government has done, is things as simple as a visa allowing foreigners to come in easily, to come and due diligence some of the startups that they're hearing about. That helps too. And then other things like capital importation, helping them out with CCI so that they can actually invest, and they're not afraid of how to repatriate profits when they get it. All of those kind of things working together is what is helping driving tech, exits, government policies, pretty much.
Excellent. Okay, I want to drill down into Nigeria as far as collaborations between the states and companies like yourself. I think you had something to do with Edo State. As far as connectivity, reduction in connection costs and so on, how are the states compared to Edo faring? I mean, I know Lagos is up there for sure, but how do you view the 36 states across the country in terms of collaborations with companies like yours?
So the state governments receive you with open arms, which I would say a lot of work has been done by those that came before me. And there's a lot of policies in place. So when you think about right of way, the steps to site acquisition, all the permits you require to build a base station and all of that, those processes have evolved. There are things that you can even look up on the website of a state government. So the state governments have been very receptive in that. I think I read somewhere in Ekiti State late last year talking about dropping the price significantly of right of way. So state government is more aligned with, they understand the benefits of reducing the cost for providers, because that way there's room for providers to want to invest a lot more. Now, if we look at Edo specifically, they had a huge project with two of our partners, May1 and Facebook, that ran fiber around the state. So it's one of the states after when you leave the major ones like Lagos and Abuja, that has metro fiber around the state. And once that kind of infrastructure is available, service providers like us, now our cost of providing service drops dramatically, and we can then pass all of those savings to the customer. So for us, in our case, we're able to then figure out that, hey, in Lagos, where we're charging 12.5, we have this cheaper infrastructure that we can leverage on. We're able to drop the price by 66% to about 4,000 naira a month for unlimited internet in Edo State. I'm not aware there's any body that's offering the service at unlimited internet at that price point. But it's just a case of government policy. They were receptive to folks that wanted to invest in infrastructure. And then those of us that can then come back and leverage this infrastructure can then help basically provide all of that savings to their customer and the residents of that state.
All right. So how do other states advance? Did you just have to be receptive? Is that it? Did you just have to have a receptive government? What about the infrastructure in the states? What about up north and so on in northern Nigeria?
So there's a lot of work going on in the background that may not be obvious because telecoms projects take a couple of years. The major infrastructure ones take a couple of years to manifest. But there's folks that are running fiber as we're speaking to increasing their fiber footprint across the state. So the first step would be state government harmonizing all the levies, permits, and everything, and making it transparent that this is the pricing. If you pay this for a tower, this is the process. Talk with urban planning, etc. That way, it becomes clear. Where there's lack of clarity, it's difficult to invest or determine your costs going into a state. Second thing will be letting people know. I stumbled upon the Ekiti State announcement. If they didn't make a lot of noise around it on Twitter, people might not know. So there may be other states that have some of all of this, that made some of all of this progress and changes in the last couple of months. Then thirdly, will be helping with the next tier of government, which is the local governments. I'm dealing with them because obviously not every area you're going to go into is controlled exclusively by the state government. Helping that interface with companies. And then there are other things too. Edo government too was symbiotic. We provided internet to the schools, to 2 or 3 of the schools there, and that was how we were able to see those opportunities. So there might be projects that are ongoing that are tech related, and opening that would also give people insights into the states. And more or less, transparency helps.
Great stuff. Great stuff. All right, got about 2 minutes to go. There are 3 things you could advise African governments to focus on in tech. What would those 3 things be? Quickly, if you can, in a couple minutes.
Policy, innovation always, regulation always lags behind innovation. So being open to innovation, seeing anything in innovation, and then understanding that the policies around that should help the innovation. That'll be one. Second one will be around imports for hard physical stuff. We're talking about infrastructure deficit, but if you have a situation where you can get rid of some of the taxes, or reasonable, reduce them to incentivize folks to bring all of this equipment cheap, will be my second advice. And the third one will be open to just be investor friendly, so that you can get foreign development FDI, because capital is what everybody needs. There's a lack of, and that's the only way you can actually build infrastructure.
Great stuff. So policy, imports, boosting imports, and being investor friendly. Great advice there. Kendall Ananyi, founder, CEO of Tizeti. Thank you so much for your thoughts on how to bridge the technology gap in Africa, all the way from San Francisco. He woke up really early for this interview. All right.